The world exploded in a flash of light and a deafening boom. The recoil from my grandfather's 12-gauge shotgun slammed into my shoulder, a brutal grounding force in the chaos of that moonlit night. For a second, it was dead quiet, like the whole universe stopped breathing. Then a raw, animal howl split the air as one of the masked figures crumpled to the grass, clutching his leg. The other guy froze, mask and all, but you could see the fear in his eyes, even behind that cheap plastic. My heart was going a mile a minute, but I felt this weird, icy calm. Smoke drifted from the barrel, sulfur and something older, maybe justice, and I stood there on the porch where I'd watched my kids grow up, feeling like I'd finally drawn a line that couldn't be erased. But if you want to know how a guy like me, who fixes fences and worries about the rain, ended up squeezing the trigger in the middle of the night, you've got to rewind 6 weeks. Back before the masks and the madness. Before the war started, not with a bang, but a whisper printed on glossy paper. It started with letters, innocent-looking enough, with the fancy Sycamore Heights HOA logo on the corner. I used to toss them in the fire. We weren't part of any association. My family, the Carters, had worked this land since 1897, and our only real rules were the ones you learned fixing barbed wire under a hot sun. But the first letter was just a reminder about community aesthetics. Apparently, the barn's paint was rustic, their word, and an eyesore, also theirs. I laughed. The next one, something about my gate color, ended up stuck in the mud on my boot. A sign from above, I thought. But it kept coming. Petty noise from people with too much time and too little skin in the game. Then I met Catherine Vance, the queen bee herself, at the feed store. Nails perfect, smile like polished granite. She greeted me with, "Mr. Carter, we hope you'll consider joining our vision for the community. We're just trying to protect property values." There was something behind her eyes, like she was daring me to push back. I just nodded, hefted my feed, and left her standing in the dust. A week later, the real trouble rolled up. 2 black SUVs at the edge of my pasture, 3 suits with shoes worth more than my truck. One had a blueprint. "You must be the caretaker," the youngest said, smiling like Catherine. He had more hair gel than sense. "Don't mind us. Miss Vance has approved everything." "Caretaker." I let out a laugh with no humor in it. "My name's Liam Carter. My family owns this land. Now who the hell are you, and what are you doing on my property?" His smile flickered. The tall one stepped forward, got sharp. "Must be a misunderstanding, Mr. Carter. Better call your lawyer." So I did. David Chun, my lawyer for 10 years, didn't laugh it off. He just said, "Let me look into it." The next day, his call came as I was fixing a barn hinge. "Liam," he said, voice tight, "this isn't just a boundary squabble. There's a deed, filed 3 years ago. With your forged signature, they're claiming the whole ranch." My world wobbled. Generations of Carter sweat and hope, erased by a piece of paper. I stood in that barn, staring at the wood my grandfather's hands had raised. I could hear David's voice through the phone. "We fight. I need every old map, every tax record, every letter. We're building a fortress of truth, and we start now." That night, I told Sarah. Watching fear flicker across her face, I knew we'd both do anything to protect our kids. She went straight to the study, pulled out a dusty ledger. My grandma was meticulous. "Let's get to work." The kitchen table turned into a war room. Coffee and old paper, the ghosts of 100 years crowding around. David brought help. Ben, a surveyor I'd known since high school, leather-skinned, old school, owed me a poker debt, but really hated liars. Land remembers, Liam. Paper can lie, the earth doesn't. Next came Isabel, a title researcher with a mind like a scalpel. Corporate fraud is my thing. An HOA is just a tiny corporation with a god complex. Let's see what skeletons they're hiding. Isabel found the first crack. The notary on the deed was a Stanley Finch, license revoked, disappeared soon after the forgery. The deed itself was filed at 4:58 p.m. on a Friday. Classic move to hide it. Ben walked every fence line, old GPS in one hand, granddad's maps in the other. They moved your marker, Liam. Years ago. Inch by inch they stole your land. My contribution? An old photo of my dad as a boy beside a giant oak. Now, according to the new HOA map, the creek by that oak was their new boundary, our family tree on their side. History erased, one trick at a time. While we built our fortress, the war came home. Gates left open, Cattle scattered. Was it stress or sabotage? My tools moved, a fuel can gone, reappearing in odd places. Sarah worried. You're obsessed, Liam. You're jumping at shadows. Maybe. But I started to feel watched, the walls closing in. I asked Cody, the ranch hand, quiet kid, always with his headphones. Seen anything strange by the north gate? He just shrugged. Later, I'd realize he was hiding something. But right then, paranoia settled over the house like fog. I needed to look the enemy in the eye. Against David's advice, I went to their next HOA meeting. Community center, cold and sterile. Catherine was running things, pastel blazer, and that practice smile. When she opened for comments, I stood up. You'll want to hear this. I laid out the evidence. The fake notary, the altered maps, the fraudulent filings. The room shifted. Some leaned in, some glared. Catherine snapped. That land was reassigned by municipal order. You're unstable, Mr. Carter. I walked out, unstable echoing in my head. 2 days later, a crew showed up with chain-link fencing, starting to enclose what they claimed was theirs. I blocked the lead guy's truck. You put a post on my side of that oak, you'll be pulling it out of your rear end. He backed down, for now. It got ugly fast. One morning, my dog Max was sick. Vet said maybe he ate something, but I knew better. Then, the final straw, a crayon drawing, slipped under our door at night. My family, stick figures, all crossed out in black marker. Not just a threat, this was personal. That night, I took my grandfather's shotgun out, cleaned it, loaded it. I was done waiting. And then, scratch, scratch, scratch at Lily's window. My phone showed 2 masked figures, standing in the moonlight, scraping at the glass. My kids' screams split the night. I grabbed the Remington and burst onto the porch, floodlights snapping on. One of them waved, mocking. I fired. He fell, mask off, revealed as Mitch, Catherine's hired muscle. The other, Kyle, dropped to his knees, yelling, "We've got it on video. Proof you're unstable." He lunged for the gun, tossed me, but I fought back. We rolled in the grass until the cops arrived, lights painting everything red and blue. Kyle screamed lies. He lured us. He's crazy. But what they didn't know was my cameras caught it all. Inside, I played the footage for the deputies. The masks, the scratching, the attack. They saw the truth. But Catherine wasn't done. At trial, her lawyer painted me as a dangerous recluse, doctoring video to show only the shooting. She called a psychologist, another Finch, who swore I'd been his patient, diagnosed with paranoia. All lies. It almost worked. Until my lawyer, Ms. Rossi, cool as a mountain stream, stood up. She played the real footage, the whole ugly truth. Then Cody, caught by bank records, broke down and confessed he'd been paid to spy on me, stir up trouble. The jury was out just 90 minutes. Guilty. On trespass, conspiracy, and harassment. For them, not for me. Damages awarded, restraining order granted, and the judge sent Catherine and her goons to the DA for prosecution. Afterward, the old HOA collapsed. Catherine was arrested, her mugshot everywhere. The new board sent me a handwritten apology. Life settled. Laughter returned to my house. 6 months later, I got an invitation, block party, guest of honor. I went, neighbors cheering, beers handed out, the fence line twinkling with lights. My son tugged my sleeve. "Do we have to go home yet, Dad?" I looked at him, at the faces of the people I thought I'd lost. "No, buddy, not tonight. But you know, sometimes I wonder, would you have done the same if your family was on the line? Or would you have let the bullies win? Let me know, what's justice, and what's going too far? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every single one.